Two Georgia Republican senators, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, are in for the fight of their lives in the January runoffs. And the stakes now couldn't be higher. The balance of power in the Senate is on the line. So it's no wonder that the Trump campaign's claims of electoral fraud in Georgia are raising concerns among fellow Republicans. Let's welcome Georgia Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan. Governor, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So, as I said, just to start with, if we could, some of the president's lawyers, anyway, some of the president's team continue to insist that there was widespread voting fraud in Florida. I know you and the governor and the Secretary of State have pushed back and denied that. Are there any further options here, any further avenues for the president to get that very close election result overturned?
Well, we continue the process of finalizing counting every single legal vote here in Georgia. Wednesday at midnight, there will be a recount that will be finished. It was requested by the president and his campaign, and that will be finished. All signs point to that being in line with the initial counts and statistically not changing the results of the election. And so we continue to watch the process play out here in Georgia. And you know what? We're dealing with mountains of misinformation that's flowing in by literally the second. But I think we're staying focused on our jobs at hand, and that's to count every single legal vote.
Are you worried at all, are Republicans worried at all, that this continuing talk of widespread fraud and of the unreliability of the vote in Georgia in the election in November could discourage Republicans from voting in these crucial January 5th runoffs?
I'm very worried, Jerry. I'm very worried. I think it creates a couple of different issues. Short term, it creates an issue for our Senate runoffs, which, you know, we need Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler to be in the Senate, not just here in Georgia, but for the whole country. They're going to be the firewall against any bad ideas that flow out of the Biden administration, like raising taxes on small businesses or trying to look for opportunities to defund the police or you know, mountains of regulations for environmental purposes. We need them. Long term, I think it's troublesome too as we continue to just chase after endless amounts of frivolous information that's debunked in 10 seconds or less. I think long-term for the Republican Party, it creates some headwinds for us. We need to get those folks that are with us on our policies, but we cannot lose the messaging that we're paying attention to real stuff.
In these off-cycle or runoff elections, turnout is absolutely key, right? You don't expect to get the kind of turnout that you would get normally, especially in a presidential election year at the same time as the presidential election. How do Republicans maximize their votes? How do Republicans get people out to vote on January 5th?
Well, I don't think there's any way to model what the turnout's going to look like. We are in the midst of a pandemic. We're in the midst of a runoff. We're in the midst of, an election and misinformation. I mean, there's lots of moving parts here. So I think the best thing to do is for us here in Georgia, you know, and this is a red state. You know, we've got a governor and lieutenant governor. All 8 statewide constitutional officers are Republicans. We've got Republican majorities in the state House and state Senate. This is a red state that recognizes the importance of having somebody who looks through the lens of a small business owner, somebody who looks through the lens of a family, somebody who looks through the lens of what it takes to represent Georgia's values. I think we've got 2 senators in place that currently do that. We just got to keep reminding folks, remind them in the suburbs, remind them in rural Georgia, remind folks everywhere that we've got the right direction here in Georgia. And Jerry, I think there's a couple of things that we can point back to that. Our unemployment rate is extremely low compared to our other states, and that's because our Governor Kemp, is really continuing to put the balance in place of lives and livelihoods.
Thank you indeed. All eyes on Georgia for the next few weeks. Thank you very much indeed, Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan. Thanks.
Absolutely.